It's like being free. You enjoy yourselves.
If seeking total freedom in nature is the dream, Chile may be the place to make it a reality. Under its diverse landscapes, from fiery volcanoes to serene beaches, opening the door to forbidden explorations. What dark truths lie behind this intriguing tale? Join us on this episode as we reveal the strangest country on the planet. Playa Luna, home of nature. Chile is a country in South America, located on the continent's western side. It's a long and narrow country that stretches along the coast, covering a big area of 752,102 square kilometers. Even though Chile is quite large, it has a small population of about 20 million people. One thing that makes Chile special is its amazing natural beauty. The country has a lot of different landscapes, from the Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert in the world, to massive glaciers. In between, you'll find tall mountains and active volcanoes in the Andes. Chile also has a very long coastline with many beautiful beaches and the world's largest swimming pool. The country is also known for its delicious wine. Chile is often called the land shaped like a chili pepper because of its unique, long, and skinny shape. It has the second longest coastline in the world, stretching for 6,435 kilometers, but it's very narrow, with an average width of just over 200 kilometers. This long coastline and narrow land create many lovely beach resorts that tourists from all over the world enjoy visiting. Some of the most popular beach resorts are in central Chile, from El Norte Chico down to the 8th region del Mal. This area has a Mediterranean climate, with warm and sunny summers and cool nights, perfect for swimming, surfing, kayaking, sunbathing, and enjoying lively festivals. One of the most famous beach resorts in Chile is Renaca, which has wide beaches with soft white sand and clear blue waters. It's a great place for swimming, surfing, and kayaking. Chile also has a famous nude beach called Playa Luna, which is the only recognized nude beach in the country. Playa Luna got its name from a group of nudists led by René Rojas, who was one of the first to promote organized nudism in Chile. Although the beach has been known as a place for nudists since 1960, it became officially recognized as a nude beach in 2000. Every summer, Playa Luna attracts many visitors and is a popular spot for people who enjoy this lifestyle. Playa Luna is a public beach where people of all kinds can feel free and accepted, regardless of who they are or what they believe. The beach was created as a new spot for people to enjoy after Caucao Beach in Horcon became too crowded in the 1990s. The visitors who used to go to Caucao Beach started going to the end of a long beach in Horcon, previously known as Playa La Iglesia, or the Church Beach. They later renamed it Playa Luna. Today, Playa Luna is the main meeting place for nudists in Chile, especially during the summer when it gets lots of visitors. The Atacama, the most terrifying desert in the world. The Atacama Desert in Chile is a very special place. It's one of the oldest and driest deserts in the world, with some parts being dry for millions of years. The desert is over 40,000 square miles in size, making it huge. It sits between two mountain ranges, the Andes and the Chilean Coast Range, which block rain from reaching the desert, making it incredibly dry. This desert stretches for about 600 to 700 miles in northern Chile. The exact edges of the desert are not well defined, but it mostly lies between the Loa River and the mountains that separate different river basins. To the north, the desert reaches the border with Peru. In Spanish, the Atacama Desert is called Desierto de Atacama. On one side of the desert, there are low coastal mountains called the Cordillera de la Costa, and on the other side are the Cordillera de Maco foothills, which are part of the Andes. The desert is made up of dry, salty plains and areas covered with pebbles. Some parts even have dunes. One of the most famous places in the Atacama Desert is the Valley of the Moon. It's a beautiful spot where you can see the Licon volcano in the background. The mountains in this area are very tall, some reaching up to 6,560 feet. These mountains often end in steep cliffs that drop straight down to the sea, making it hard to travel between the coast and the inland areas. Further inland, there's a flat area called the Tamarugal Plain, which is more than 3,000 feet high. To the east of this plain, near the Andes, there are many volcanoes, some as tall as 16,000 feet. The Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth because of the cold ocean current that flows along the coast and the high-pressure air that keeps rain away. Even though it's a desert, temperatures are not as hot as you might think. In the cities of Iquique and Antofagasta, summer temperatures are usually around 65 to 66 degrees Fahrenheit. The people who originally lived in the Atacama Desert were called the Atacameño. They were different from other groups like the Aymara and Diaguita. In the 1800s, Chile, Bolivia, and Peru all fought over the desert because it had valuable minerals, especially sodium nitrate. After the War of the Pacific, Chile won the desert and kept it, making it a source of wealth for the country until World War I. In the Atacama Desert, you can visit many ancient sites. One of them is Tulor, where you can see the remains of roundhouses made of adobe that are about 2,800 years old. People who lived there grew crops like maize and raised llamas. Another site is Catarpe, which used to be an Incan center with around 200 buildings made of stone and adobe. There's also Pucará de Quitor, an Incan fortress built in the 12th century, and Yerbas Buenas, where you can find over 1,000 ancient carvings called petroglyphs made by the Atacameño people. These carvings show pictures of animals like llamas, flamingos, and foxes. Just 2 miles outside the town of San Pedro, there's a beautiful lodge where you can stay and enjoy the peaceful hills around it. It's a great place for stargazing under the clear Atacama night sky. The lodge is designed to blend in with the desert, with buildings made from local materials, gardens full of native plants, and 6 outdoor pools. You can even visit the llamas and alpacas that live there, or join one of the lodge's many exciting trips led by expert guides. Another great place to stay is Explora Atacama, which has 50 rooms and a modern, comfortable feel. It's one of the biggest lodges in the area and has 4 solar-heated outdoor pools and an observatory for stargazing. Located on a large desert oasis, it's a perfect spot for exploring the Atacama Desert on foot, by bike, or on horseback, with over 40 guided trips to choose from. The Atacama Desert is one of the best places in the world for stargazing. Because it's so high up, very dry, and far from city lights, the night sky is incredibly clear. The European Southern Observatory operates a powerful telescope called ALMA in the desert, which is even stronger than the Hubble telescope. The best time for stargazing is from April to September when the skies are mostly clear, and it's best to visit during a new moon. One of the most exciting things to do in the Atacama Desert is sandboarding. The Cerro Medinoso Dune, the tallest in Chile and the second highest in the world, is a great spot for this activity. Just a little over a mile from San Pedro, you'll find Death Valley, or Valle de los Muertos, which is one of the best places in Chile for sandboarding. The valley has dramatic landscapes with eroded rocks and smooth dunes that are perfect for sliding down. The views are especially beautiful at sunset when the colors of the desert come alive. Whether you're trying sandboarding for the first time or just watching others, it's a fun and thrilling experience. Nature's terrors in Chile. Chile faces many natural dangers, including earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and problems linked to climate change like wildfires, floods, landslides, and droughts. From 2008 to 2015, a long drought greatly affected the southern and central parts of Chile. Climate change is expected to make these problems worse, increasing how often they happen, how severe they are, and how many people are affected. This could hurt Chile's economy, especially in areas like farming, electricity, and health. Chile also experiences mudslides, forest fires, and powerful earthquakes. The country's National Disaster Prevention and Response Service warns people and gives advice when these events happen. In 1960, Chile was hit by the biggest earthquake ever recorded, near Valdivia, which measured 9.5 on the Richter scale. The earthquake and the following tsunami lasted for about 11 to 13 minutes, and tragically took the lives of 1,000 to 6,000 people. Because of Chile's history with earthquakes, buildings are designed to stay strong during both small and big tremors. Visiting the El Tatio geysers is worth waking up early and facing the cold. In the morning, the cool air keeps the steam from 80 geysers visible, creating a magical scene when the sunlight hits the steam clouds. At over 14,000 feet above sea level, this is the highest geyser field in the world. You can walk among the geysers, where steam shoots up to 35 feet into the air, take photos, and wait for the sunrise. The sight of the geysers, thermal wells, and steam in the clear, high-altitude desert at dawn is unforgettable. The area also has hot springs, and breakfast is served picnic-style during tours. After visiting the geysers, there is a stop at the nearby indigenous community of Machuca. There, you can try llama kebabs, visit their church, and meet the locals. Chile also has some volcanoes you can hike in the San Pedro area. Toco Volcano is about 18,538 feet tall and offers great views of the Bolivian Altiplano and the Atacama Salt Flat to the west. Lascar Volcano, at 18,348 feet, is Chile's most active volcano, with lively smoke vents and several craters. From the top, you can enjoy a wide view of the Salar de Atacama and Laguna Lejía. Corona Volcano, at 17,360 feet, provides amazing views of the entire volcanic arc of the Andes, including Lascar Volcano. Cuenca, at 16,372 feet, offers great views and a chance to see local plants and animals like vicuñas. Portals to other realms. Even though the Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth, it is full of life. You can see animals like vicuñas, guanacos, vizcachas, and foxes, along with big birds like condors and hawks flying high in the sky. On the rocky coast, you might even spot some Humboldt penguins. One of the most surprising sights is the pink flamingos that gather around salty lakes. Their bright pink color comes from the algae they eat. Chile is also famous as the world's astronomy capital. The Atacama Desert is perfect for stargazing, with over 300 clear nights a year and tall mountains. Some of the world's largest telescopes, like the Extremely Large Telescope and the Very Large Telescope, are found here. The country is rich in mythology, especially in the southern forests and mountains. Indigenous stories from the Mapuche and Chilote communities tell of mystical beings like the Trauco, a strange-looking forest dweller who has magical powers of seduction. These legends are still a big part of the local culture and connect the people deeply to their land. The Mapuche tribe, the largest native tribe in Chile, is known for their bravery in battle. They were the only indigenous group to stop the Incan Empire from taking over their land and fought hard against the Spanish conquistadors. The Carretera Austral, also known as Pinochet Highway, is a stunning route through Chile's Aysén region. Soldiers originally built the road during Augusto Pinochet's time as a dictator. The road connects remote communities and offers beautiful views of forests, glaciers, fjords, and lakes. It's a perfect place for travelers who love scenic drives and hikes. Near San Pedro in Chile, there is a huge salt lake that covers 1,200 square miles, but it doesn't look like a typical lake. It's surrounded by mountains full of sodium and other minerals. The lake only fills up when the rare rains come to the Atacama Desert. Because the ground doesn't soak up water quickly, flash floods happen, and water gathers in the lake bed before it evaporates. When the water dries up, it leaves behind salt, sand, and other minerals, giving the land a unique, moon-like appearance. This area is similar to the Salar de Atacama, Chile's largest salt flat. In the middle of this salt flat, a few springs create small pools of water that attract tiny crustaceans, which are food for Andean, Chilean, and James flamingos. The large number of flamingos led to the creation of the National Flamingo Reserve in 1990. World's oldest mummies. The world's oldest mummified remains were found in northern Chile, along the Pacific coast of the Atacama Desert, in the Arica y Parinacota region. Little is known about this culture, but some believe their elaborate burial practices were a way to become masters of the dead. More than 300 Chinkaro mummies have been found to date, including mummies that were painted red, black, and tightly wrapped. These mummies were discovered in the early 20th century, dating back over 7,000 years, surpassing the famous Egyptian mummies by 2,000 years. In the Western Hemisphere, researchers have found evidence of the oldest known tattooing. Unlike Egypt, where mummification was reserved for the royal class, the Chinkaro mummified people from all social classes. The reason for mummification is still a mystery, but archaeologists think it is linked to how they viewed death and their desire to connect the living with the deceased. The Chinchorro people, who lived along the coast of the Atacama Desert between 7,000 and 1,500 BC, had a unique way of honoring their deceased. Their mummification processes, which predate those of the Egyptians and the Incas, reveal the complexity and reverence they had for their departed loved ones. These fascinating mummies were crafted using a variety of techniques, some of which involved filling the body with natural materials such as ashes, feathers, and soil, and carefully preserving the facial features using intricate methods. This ancient civilization, which stands out today for its great antiquity, developed unique death-related worship, as evidenced by the intricacy of its mummification techniques, which predated the Egyptian and Inca cultures. Chilean researchers, led by ecologist Pablo Marqueta from Universidad Católica de Chile, suggest that the practice emerged due to the extremely dry environment in which the Chinchorro people lived. This desert region, now part of northern Chile and southern Peru, is one of the driest places on Earth, preventing bodies from decomposing naturally. The Chinchorro, who lived as hunter-gatherers from around 10,000 to 4,000 years ago, buried their dead in shallow graves. Over time, wind and erosion would partially uncover these bodies, leaving the living constantly exposed to the remains of their ancestors. This continuous exposure may have prompted the development of mummification as a way to handle the unchanging bodies. The researchers also studied ice samples from a nearby volcano and considered other environmental factors. They found that around 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, the region experienced a period of increased water flow, likely due to more snowfall in the mountains. This led to a more abundant supply of fish in nearby waters, boosting the chinchorro's population and prosperity. As the community grew, so did its cultural practices, including burial rituals like mummification. The group claims that the combination of the two resulted in burial customs, including mummification, which was a logical development of what the people were already experiencing in their surroundings. The fact that mummification ceased when circumstances changed lends credence to this theory. The heavier snowfall in the mountains stopped about 4,000 years ago, which resulted in less water in the ocean, fewer fish, and a decrease in the human population. In 2018, the Chinchorro cultures, settlements, and artificial mummies were acknowledged as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. This recognition confirms the immense historical and cultural value of this unique heritage, which will help preserve and study the mysterious Chinchorro culture. Cultural heritage of Chileans. San Pedro de Atacama used to be a mining town, but now it's a popular spot for tourists. The town has unique adobe-style houses along its dusty, narrow roads. In the main plaza is the oldest church in Chile, built around 1744. If tourists visit in June, they can take part in the San Pedro y San Pedro celebration, a week-long event with Catholic processions, masses, and colorful traditional folk dancing. The town is known for its traditional crafts, often made to help loved ones in the afterlife. Local artisans have passed down their skills through generations, creating beautiful items from volcanic stones and cactus wood to pottery, wood engravings, baskets, musical instruments, clothing, ornaments, and weavings at the various shops. The town also boasts unique designs on doors, gates, adobe walls, and patios. The food scene is also special, with chefs and owners using native desert plants to create Andean fusion dishes, quinoa salads, artisan pizzas, homemade empanadas with unique ingredients, and fresh juices and smoothies made from kiwi and coca leaves. Every meal will be a pleasant surprise. The minga, a fascinating cultural practice, is practiced on the islands of the Chiloé archipelago in Chile. When a family decides to move, the neighborhood literally pulls the wooden house from its foundations and moves it with the help of a team of oxen and logs, or it is tied to a boat and gently floated to a new island. Not only is Chile renowned worldwide for its delicious pisco and red wines, but it also boasts a robust and varied beer culture. This is a result of the large wave of German immigrants that arrived in Chile in the late 80s and brought with them their brewing customs, as well as their food and architectural styles. Early explorers, including Ferdinand Magellan, reported seeing giants on the southern coast of Chile. These tales of 9-foot-tall indigenous people led to the region being named Patagonia, derived from the Spanish word for Bigfoot. Whether these stories are true or not, the name persists, now more associated with the region's towering mountains and massive glaciers. The Inca Empire, which spanned several countries in South America, extended its influence to San Pedro de Atacama between 1450 and 1550 AD. During this time, the Incas established control over San Pedro and the surrounding communities, spreading their political and religious practices. San Pedro de Atacama was considered a sacred place by the Incas. At the height of their power, they conducted religious ceremonies there to worship the sun. The nearby Licancabur volcano, standing 19,410 feet above sea level and located about 25 miles from San Pedro, served as a significant ceremonial site for the Inca civilization. Just outside San Pedro, there's a beautiful volcano called Licancabur at 19,410 feet. It stands between Chile and Bolivia and is considered sacred by the local people. The volcano has ancient sites on its slopes and has a lake at the top. This lake is one of the highest in the world due to its high altitude. According to locals, drinking water from this lake after climbing the volcano gives special powers. Chileans also love to celebrate. September 18 marks the day the nation united to seek freedom from Spanish rule, while September 19 honors the Day of the Glories of the Army. Chileans celebrate with parties, dancing the national dance of cueca, traditional foods, and spending time with family and friends at festival venues called fondas. They get a full week off work or school to celebrate these festivities. Penguin habitats in Chile. When people think of Antarctica, they often picture adorable penguins. However, these birds are not only found on the coldest continent, but also in many other remote areas, including the southern coast of Chile. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, Chile is home to 5 species of penguins: king, Humboldt, Magellanic, rockhopper, and macaroni. With populations numbering in the tens of thousands, these penguins contribute to the pristine and unique natural landscape of South America. Except for the king penguin, all penguin species in Chile are either endangered or vulnerable. The main reasons include oil spills, overfishing, leading to loss of fish populations, and climate change. The Patagonian penguins are found at the tip of the Chilean mainland and resemble Humboldt penguins. They have a colony of 60,000 in Chile, specifically around the renowned Los Pingüinos Natural Monument, which stretches from Marta Island to Magdalena Island. They can grow up to 76 centimeters in length. The second largest penguin species worldwide, the king penguin is one of the most exquisite examples found in the animal kingdom. Their stunning hues, which range from yellowish to orange to white to black tones, are reminiscent of royalty. They adore the world's warmest waters, and in 2010, surprisingly, a sizable colony of them settled comfortably in one of Tierra del Fuego Island's bays in Chile. Emperor penguins are the largest and most intimidating of all, with heights easily exceeding 120 centimeters and weights of up to 45 kilograms. They are similar in color to king penguins, but they are not the same. Since they can only be found in Antarctica, these parts of southern Chile are home to them. Recognizing this, Chile has implemented various conservation measures, such as rejecting a $2.5 billion iron mining project in 2017 to protect the penguins. The diversity of penguin species in Chile can be attributed to its geographical proximity to Antarctica. Penguins might look awkward on land, but they are fast and graceful in the water. The Humboldt penguin is recognized by the black U-shape on its chest. Magellanic penguin, with 2 black lines on its chest. King penguins are the second largest penguin species. Some species, like the emperor penguin, are hard to reach, requiring special expeditions from the Chilean air base Frey or Puerto Williams. Located entirely in the southern hemisphere and stretching over 4,000 kilometers, Chile is the closest country to Antarctica. Specifically, Aguila Island of Chile is only about 950 kilometers from the Antarctic Peninsula. Chile is also one of the countries with territorial claims to the coldest continent in the world. Chile's Antarctic territory includes the Antarctic Peninsula, the South Shetland Islands, and nearby islands, totaling 1,257,000 square kilometers. Currently, Chile maintains 13 research bases in this area, unique practices in the country. In many places, it is common to see people adding extra sugar to things that don't need it. For example, fruit juices often have 5 or more spoons of sugar added, which can make them overly sweet. The fruit itself is already sweet and delicious, so there's no need for the extra sugar. Ordering juice sin azúcar might get some strange looks. This tendency to overindulge can also be seen in restaurants, where portions are often supersized and much of the food is not very healthy. A typical meal might include barbecued meat with a large portion of fries and an egg on top. It's also common to find portions meant for 2 people on the menu, but this isn't always clearly marked, so it's easy to end up with a plate big enough for 2. Drinking alcohol in public is not allowed in Chile, and public displays of drunkenness are frowned upon. It is common to see people enjoying ice cream, churros, and sweet drinks along the beach, but finding a cold beer is difficult. There may even be a law prohibiting the sale of alcohol on the seafront. Walking in Chile can be a different experience for those used to faster-paced environments. People tend to walk slowly, even in busy areas like Santiago. This slower pace can be frustrating, especially when entire groups block the sidewalk, making it hard to pass. Street dogs in Chile are generally friendly and well cared for. They often hang out with people, earning food through companionship rather than begging. Many neighborhoods take care of their local street dogs, providing them with food and water. The dogs are usually in good health and seem happy. Street art is everywhere in Chile, especially in cities like Valparaiso, where clean walls are a rare sight. This art reflects a culture of expression that may have roots in Chile's history of political repression. Shrines, or animitas, dedicated to people who have died, are common along roadsides in Chile. Some of these shrines are more elaborate, often for those who died in particularly tragic circumstances. People visit these shrines to ask for blessings and leave offerings of thanks. Paying by credit card in Chile often involves being asked whether to pay in full or in installments, a unique practice that even applies to small purchases. When dining out, a 10% tip is usually added to the bill, known as propina. This system simplifies tipping, but can make it awkward if the service wasn't great. Thank you for watching. See you next time.